These are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today in our federal government contracting webinar series. We're in our second week, and today we're lucky enough to have Eric Shiowitz with us. He's with Expert FSO, and the topic that he's covering today is preparing the FSO for a DSS audit. So obviously in federal government contracting, there are many acronyms, and Eric will decode the FSO and DSS for us. But first, I just wanted to give you a full list of the various webinars and topics that we're covering. We continue on the rest of this week with a best practices for life after 8A. And next week, we continue on with contract administration, unsolicited proposals. And actually, Eric is going to join us again for facility clearances. And once you have that, what to expect afterwards. So today and obviously next week will be related. All of the webinars are being recorded, so in the event that you don't have time to stick with us throughout today, we will be sending out the recordings and the link to access those. They're all complimentary. We do have a full hour today, but we're probably not going to take that amount of time unless we need to. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and my business. Eric will tell you about himself and Expert FSO. We'll dig into his presentation. He'll make some final remarks. And then we will take your questions in the order that they are received. To type in a question, on the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a control panel, and you can just type your question in there, hit submit, and again, we'll answer those in the order that they're received. We're going to have Eric's contact information available on the last slide, so if there's anything that you wanted to ask him offline, or in the event that we don't have time today, you can certainly reach out to him directly. So as an introduction about myself, Jennifer Schaus here, have spent almost 20 years in federal government contracting. I started my career with Dun & Bradstreet, and we were selling business credit reports to the government, anything from GSA to the intel agencies that were looking at money laundering and white-collar criminals, down to just the contracting officers that used the Dun & Bradstreet information to decide if they were going to award a contract to a company or not, ensuring that they had the financial strength to maintain the terms and conditions of the contract. A little bit about my company. We're based in downtown DC. I've been at this for about 10 years, and we support government contractors with a variety of services, anything from sales and business development to contract vehicles, including obviously the GSA schedule, some of the certifications, and we host events periodically in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center, where we bring in approximately 200 government contractors, federal government agencies, and corporate sponsors. So enough about me. The real reason that we're here today is to talk about the FSO and preparing for a DSS audit. So Eric, I'll let you tell the audience about yourself and your company, and then we'll get into your presentation. And thanks again for joining us today.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jennifer, and thanks for having me, and hello to everybody out there. So basically, like Jennifer said, what we'd like to cover today is briefly what's involved with the DSS audit, what it is, who DSS is, who I am, and what we do. So basically, I've been an industrial security specialist or an FSO, facility security officer, for over 10 years. I'm an active member of a lot of the different organizations that FSO subscribe to, NCMS, NDIA, NSI, and more. NSI is the National Security Institute. The NCMS is National Classified Management Security. These are organizations that hold conferences annually. They also have quarterly meetings. They are a backbone to facility security officers, kind of like a support system for documentation, for questions, for anything FSOs may need to better their security program for the company they're working for. I myself have attended over 50 DSS audits. That's the DSS is Defense Security Services, and the Defense Security Services, they are basically a government agency who overlook what they call the NISP, the NISP, the National Industrial Security Program. And the NISP, once you become a cleared facility, is something you need to kind of abide by. And the NISP has an operating manual called the NISPOM, the NISP, and then operating manual. And that's kind of the Bible for facility clearances, and that's how we go by that, and everybody with a facility clearance goes by that. And that kind of spells out all of your requirements as a facility, cleared facility. We have experience, I have experience in the DoD and Intel community. We've dealt with most of the agencies, so there's not much we haven't seen, but in the government world, you can't say that you've seen it all because you haven't. So that's a little bit about me and Expert FSO. Basically, so what Expert FSO is, we are a company that offers your security program for your company as a cleared facility and your facility security officer support. We offer support services. Many of the companies we deal with, the FSO is wearing multiple hats. It's the FSO, the CEO, the CFO. They can't really justify a full-time FSO. The overhead can't be justified. It's not really a full-time position for a lot of companies. So we offer a solution where we say, hey, look, you still need to be the FSO, an internal employee. You still need to be the FSO, but we can support you and can handle your day-to-day activities. You can outsource that to us. And some of the things we do, we assist companies with the facility security clearance process from day one when they find out that, hey, there's somebody who's going to sponsor us for facility clearance, and I'll get into that in a little while. What do I do now? What's the paperwork? Who do I have to talk to? How do I become compliant? Do I need a safe? Do I need, do I need walls that are made of concrete? What do I need in my facility to get a facility clearance? We kind of hold your hand through that process. Managing the day-to-day security tasks, giving company officials the bandwidth to focus on the other business needs. So, in processing new hires, out processing, administering the required security training for cleared people. There's a lot of documentation that goes into having a cleared person work for your company. So managing those day-to-day tasks, making sure that your security program is 100% compliant with DSS and the NISPOM I talked about. Managing the government systems that are going to be open to you now, being a cleared facility, JPass, fingerprinting, the system called SWIFT, where you now upload your fingerprints to the OPM database, so the FBI database. Security education, EFCL, which is another database that you're going to have access to, being a cleared facility to hold all your company documentation. So basically, we can manage your entire security program being a cleared facility, and we can also hold your hand getting to that cleared facility status.
Great, and now we'll dig into your presentation.
It's okay. So basically, what is an FSO? The FSO is a facility security officer. A facility security officer is required to be in any cleared facility. The minute you become a cleared facility, you need to appoint an FSO. That can be anybody in the company, but now they're taking on a whole new, a whole new set of responsibilities. And it's basically you're maintaining compliance for the cleared facility now. You are going to be responsible to stay compliant with all the requirements and regulations listed in this NISPOM manual, and that DSS requires. Day-to-day support for classified programs. Every classified program contract has different requirements. You got to make sure you're adhering to those. Maintaining personnel clearances and special accesses. So people have clearances at different levels for different projects. Obviously, each clearance level requires a different level of maintenance. There are periodic reinvestigations that are due. For, say, a top secret clearance, every 5 years they need to go under investigation again. It's called a periodic reinvestigation, or a PR. For a secret clearance, every 10 years somebody has to have a periodic reinvestigation. You have to monitor these dates and make sure you're staying on top of this. Accessing records, maintaining personnel files, not just like HR, but also security. There's a lot of training certificates. There are NDAs. There are things that people have to sign with the government that you have to keep track of. You have to keep track of foreign travel. Any cleared person that's leaving the country for any reason needs to report it, has several documents to fill out, we have to know where these cleared people are going outside the country. Intelligence briefings, like I said about maintaining the systems, JPAS, the EFCL, SWIFT, the ISFD. ISFD is basically a database of that kind of, you verify other cleared facilities. So say you want to do work with another cleared facility, you go in there and you verify that they're a cleared facility. JPAS, it maintains all of your personnel clearances that work for you, people with clearances. It's called the Joint Personnel Adjudication System. Initiate new investigations to get top secret clearances, provide the security briefings that are required when somebody gets a clearance. Make sure that you're reporting all the required items to DSS, so whether they be adverse information reports, somebody's access classified information inadvertently, somebody walked home with a piece of paper accidentally in their briefcase that was classified. All these things have to be reported and monitored and kept track of, and that's what the FSO does. So who is DSS? Whoops. Okay, so DSS is Defense Security Service. They are a government agency, like I said, who makes sure that all the companies that are involved in the NISP, the National Industrial Security Program, which is a cleared facility, everybody who's involved, they're kind of, we don't like to call them the police, but they are the people who are making sure that you are following all the requirements. They're the ones who come out and give you an audit. They're the ones who you call if you have questions about certain things that you don't want to answer to, say, your customer directly, the government customer. You call DSS and they can help you. You get assigned a DSS representative for your specific region, so you'll have a person to call. Basically, their mission, is to strengthen the national security at home and abroad, through oversight and education, overseas protection of U.S. and foreign classified info. We have U.S. military installations outside of the country at all different foreign countries where we have classified information and technology systems, and all those things have to be closely monitored, obviously, especially not being in the country. DSS takes care of that, provides guidance on that, and they also provide FSOs with a lot of good documentation on, if you become a cleared facility and you have to make a security briefing, your hands are going to be up in the air saying, I've never had to do this before, what's got to be in this briefing? DSS will provide you on their website and some other places, sample products for briefings and any other things that you may need to have on file with your facility. And there are a lot of templates and things they help you out with, so you're not kind of going it alone. They're here to kind of hold your hand. So that's who DSS is. So going back to the audits, so basically there are two types of facilities. There's a non-possessing facility and there's a possessing facility. If you're a non-possessing facility, that means you do not have any classified information at your workplace. There's no classified information whatsoever. Any access to classified information will be done at the customer site, usually a government agency. Now, if you're a possessing facility, that means that you have been given the approval by DSS to store classified information at your workplace. That boosts the requirements, as you could probably imagine, much higher now, because now you have classified information at your workplace, and that means you need certain types of safes, certain types of safeguarding, you need to have certain types of rooms. These are all things that you would have to do, and then DSS would come out and approve it and say, okay, you can store this type of media or this type of document that's classified at your facility. There's a whole bunch of procedures to go along with that, as you can imagine, the end of day, lists and checkboxes and things like that. So we help with both types of facilities. The non-possessing facility, because it's a lower risk, because they're not storing classified information, they come and get audited every 18 to 24 months. If you are storing classified information at your site, every 12 months, the DSS will come out. The assessment itself takes no more than a day. So they come out, it's usually, I'd say about a half day, and they go through everything. If you're a possessing facility, they take longer than a half day. So basically the big things that covered in the audit. They come in, they want to make sure your overall NIST compliance. They want to make sure that you're checking every single box in that book. They want to know that you have a good, solid security program and you're a low-risk facility. They want to know that you're keeping documentation of everything. They want to know that if they say to you, hey, this person's required to have this training, can you show me the certificate? You can go right into a file and grab it out and show it to them. They want to see that you have a computer system that's classified, an information system. They want to see the accreditation letter. If they want to go in and make sure that you're not clearing more people than you need. You don't have any personnel with clearances who don't need clearances. They want to minimize as much access as possible. Obviously, with the Snowden thing and everything that's been going on in the country recently, they want to minimize security clearances as much as possible. So they come out and double check that people only have the access they need. They review your briefings to make sure that your briefings and your security training have all the required information to give to the employees and the cleared personnel. So they have been briefed, they know what their responsibilities are, what their reporting responsibilities are, and there are no questions. And then, overall risk control. They just want to make sure that you're as low as possible risk on a scale, and and that you're keeping compliant.
Great points there, and very informative. So we'll move on to your conclusions, and then it looks like we do have a couple questions that are coming in. So keep the questions coming, and after Eric runs through his conclusions, we'll start taking the questions in the order that they're received.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. So in just kind of wrapping up, staying compliant, record keeping is huge. Document management. Make sure that you always have the documents readily available to you when they come out for the audit. They don't want you going through files and folders searching. They want you to be ready to know exactly where everything is. There's a checklist of documents that you must have available. They don't, like I said, they want you to have everything accessible to you immediately when they ask for it. Keep all the systems current. The JPAS system. Don't give anybody access they don't need. Make sure if somebody's due for their periodic reinvestigation, you have initiated that investigation. Make sure there's nothing in JPAS that shouldn't be in there. All the regulations, changes. DSS sends out monthly newsletters when you're a clear facility. They tell you what's going on, what's coming down the pipeline, what you have to look out for. You want to stay on top of that stuff because they do make changes. And if you ignore these changes and they come and they sit down with you and say, okay, where do you stand with this? Have you set up this new program yet? If you kind of look at them with question marks, this is going to bring your rating down for your assessment. Always be prepared for the audit. So, and just mentioning ratings for audits. So basically, DSS, when they come out to give you an audit, there's a rating system, and it's basically the best you can get is superior, which is number 5. Then below that's number 4 is commendable. 3 is satisfactory. 2 is unsatisfactory, and 1 is we're pulling your facility clearance. So you want to stay satisfactory and above. Expert FSO, to pass on the back a little bit, we usually don't get anything but commendables, 4 out of 5 in ratings. And in order to get a superior number 5, you have to have quite a big program. You have to usually be a possessing facility. It's a hard rating to get, but we kind of pride ourselves on we get commendables. Yeah, so that's about it.
Great, fantastic. So like I said, we will move on to the questions now, and I'm going to go to the next slide that will have Eric's information. So in the event that we run out of time, which doesn't look like that's going to happen, you can certainly contact Eric directly. So the first question comes in. You were just talking about assessments. Is this information public? And also, if somebody scores low on an assessment, can they lose their clearance?
Okay, I'm going to address the second question first. If somebody scores low on an assessment, they will be given a time frame to mitigate the issues and report back to the DSS rep with what they've done to mitigate the issues and close it out completely. It's usually 30 days. So as long as they do that, they're okay, as long as they've mitigated any issues. I'm sorry, what was the first question again?
Is the assessment public information or public knowledge?
It's not public information. It's It's information that is kept with DSS and kept with your facility, but is not to be shared with anybody else unless a government representative requires it for a contract, the results.
Okay. Next question states, how many days in advance does the government let you know that they're coming out for an assessment?
It's usually, from what it always changes, and it always depends on the wrap, but from what I see, you usually have about a month and a half.
Okay. Great.
And they're actually pretty good with, if you let them know that you don't, that you can't make it or need to reschedule it or another date works better, they're usually pretty accommodating.
Great. Next question states, regarding DSS audits, I've also heard the term SVA, S as in September, V as in Victor, A as in Apple. Can you please describe the difference or similarities?
Good question. SVA, audit, and inspection are all the same. SVA is the latest term they're using to describe an audit, and that stands for Security Vulnerability Assessment. So when you get the emails that you get today saying that we're coming out, they will call it an SVA, Security Vulnerability Assessment. It is an audit, it is an inspection. It's the same thing, they've just changed the verbiage.
During the assessment, will the auditor look at any financial information?
The only information during the assessment that financial information that our will look at is anything having to do with foreign business finance. So if any of your business is with foreign companies, if you do any type of deal, they're going to want to see what percentage of money is coming in from foreign interests, foreign business deals, things like that. Other than that, the only thing they will look for is if you have any 1099 employees that are cleared, they'll want to see copies of those 1099s issued to the employees. But finances, like I said, if you're doing business with a foreign-owned company, they will want to see numbers.
Great. Next question reads, if your company can help us with FSO duties, how does that work? Because we're required to have a W-2 full-time employee. Can you please explain how you work with clients?
Yep, that's correct. So every cleared facility has to have a W-2 FSO. Your FSO has to be a W-2 employee of that company. We support that person. So they would wear the title of FSO. They would have to take some training, but we can manage the day-to-day activities for them as a subcontractor. So there's no problem with that. But like I said, we cannot be called the FSO, but we can be, security specialists. We support the FSO and we manage all the day-to-day activities.
Okay, great. Another question here. Can I just apply for an FSO or facility clearance?
A facility clearance. So a facility clearance, a lot of people think a lot of different things about it. A facility clearance, first and foremost, I want to say, because I've had this question a lot, does not cost anything. People think, oh, God, to get a facility clearance and to start investigations to clear personnel costs lots of money. It doesn't cost you a dime to get any of this. It costs the government money, so that's why they don't want to waste their time if it's not necessary. But basically what happens is there has to be a need. There has to be a need, a business need, to have a facility clearance. So either a government agency or another cleared contractor requires your service or support on a contract that they are supporting. They can then issue you a DD-254, which is a security agreement saying, hey, you have people or resources that we need on to accomplish our contract with our government customer. We would like to sponsor you your facility for a facility clearance so you can provide cleared resources to us. So they would issue the subcontractor, the person wanting the facility clearance, issue them a DD-254 security agreement along with what they call a facility security sponsorship letter. And we would then take the sponsorship letter and the DD-254, send it to DSS and say, hey, we're getting sponsored by this government agency or by this customer. This is why, this is the need. Please begin the process. And they'll approve it or they'll come back with questions. But there has to be a need. So that's how it works. You either get a government sponsor or a prime contract sponsor, contractor sponsor.
Great. Another question here reads, I have a security clearance and I'm traveling for pleasure, not for business, outside of the country. Do I still need to report those to my FSO?
Yes, you will need to have a foreign travel briefing, and then a best practice by most FSOs, and slowly becoming a requirement to DSS, a questionnaire that you fill out before you leave, a pre and then a post questionnaire when you come back. Basically with all your itinerary information, where you're going, how long you're staying, who you're staying with, then when you come back, any foreign contacts you made, any people you met, where you went, where you stayed, things like that. So it's a briefing and a debriefing, but it is supposed to be documented and kept in the personnel folder.
Do all of the assessments take place on site?
Yes, the assessments are all done at the cleared facility itself.
And I think that might be it. So if you have any questions, type them in now, or again, please feel free to reach out to Eric directly. His contact information is there on the slide. I'm going to move to the next slide, which just kind of recaps the webinars that we're doing. So again, feel free to sign up for them. They are all complimentary. And Eric, I'll hand it back to you for any last remarks, and then we'll thank the audience and conclude the webinar. So any last thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
No, just thanks everybody for listening, and if we can be any service to you all, feel free to ring our doorbell with questions. I'm more than happy to answer all the questions you may have, even if you're not a cleared facility and you want to become a cleared facility, you need some hints, some tips, some whatever it is, please call me. I'm happy to talk about it. It's something I have a passion for, and I like to talk about it, and I like to share it with others.
Great. Actually, we do have two more questions. One is, our FSO is going out on maternity leave. Does your company provide interim services?
We absolutely do. We offer overflow, interim, substitute, whatever it is that you need, we can support.
Great. And then the next question, this might be related. We're also anticipating an audit. Can you help us prepare for the audit?
Yes, we can do that in several different ways. This is one of our kind of shining services, audit prep, and what we do is we come in, say a few days before the audit, and we sit down with you, and we know exactly what they're going to be looking for. So we go through a checklist with you, we go through your documentations, comb through your folders, make sure everything is 100% up to date and compliant. We can even sit in on the inspection if you'd like us to answer any questions you may not be comfortable answering to the auditor. But yes, that's one of our services that we offer on a regular basis.
Great. Sounds good. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks again, Eric, for sharing your industry expertise and taking all the questions that we got. Again, this webinar is being recorded, so if you want to reach back and listen to it at a future date or reach out to Eric, we'll go back one more slide to his contact information. And again, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you.